Just like any other person, I get up in the morning, I put my clothing on, I get my morning coffee, and off to work I go. My work is just like any 9 to 5, but it is definitely the furthest thing from normal. My name is Jimmy Dilley, and fear is an art to me, and one I take incredibly seriously. My love for haunted houses began at a very young age. Every single memory from being a child was of Halloween time, that feeling of fall, the smell of dried leaves and jack-o'-lanterns burning, the sounds of kids laughing while trick-or-treating, and that one thing in the sky that I was always very drawn to, the spotlights from a local haunted house, which would one day lead me to my chosen profession of scaring people. One day, on my 7th birthday, my parents took me and some of my friends to go through the Fun Dome Spook Alley, which oddly enough would change my life. I remember coming out of it thinking that was more fun than Disneyland, that feeling of terror but knowing you're completely safe. For years afterward, I would scare kids in my yard every Halloween. All those years of home haunting eventually led me to meet Ryan Piccolo, who was a fellow lifeguard with me at the time. Him and I wanted to put on a small haunted house in Price, Utah. It was nothing really fantastic, nothing more than a spook alley. But after it was all said and done, our 5-day run charging $5 a ticket, I saw that with a little more hard work and devotion, I could eventually make a living off of scaring people. After 2 years of that, I eventually moved to Salt Lake City to finish off my high school years. I decided that I had to work for these giant haunted houses I had been hearing about. At the time, I had never been through a mega haunted house. I had never seen the inside of one. Eventually, that desire to know more and experience it led me to apply to work at the Nightmare on 13th as an actor. I remember going through all my interview and being absolutely amazed at what I was seeing. Little to know that one day I would be designing and building this very attraction. For years, I had been studying the pictures of the insides of some of the best haunted houses in the world, like Netherworld, Bates Motel, Rocky Point, 13th Gate, The Darkness, and many more, always wanting to beat these guys at their very own game and design the best haunted house I possibly could. That dedication to learning about haunted houses and the industry eventually started to catch the attention of Mike and Troy, the owners of the Nightmare on 13th. I continued to move up the ranks drastically every year I worked for the Nightmare. During a rather difficult point in my life, I approached Mike Henry about painting for him. He said he'd been looking for an artist for years that could paint murals. He commissioned me for one painting, then another. Then I designed a set for him, and another set. That next year, he brought me onto the design team to help create their 2012 show. At that same time, they asked me to become the casting director for the haunted house. Eventually, Mike and Troy, realizing my potential and all I had to offer, offered me the first full-time artist job. I told them that I would give them the best haunted house I could, and so my childhood dream came true. When inspiration hits, I start designing. It'll take me about 4 to 6 months to design 3 attractions for each year's show. Then the designs are taken to the owners, who scrutinize over them until we feel comfortable with what we are about to produce. Then we start to demo it all. Then we build all the walls and frame out all of the sets. Then the real fun starts, painting and dressing, which takes most of the year. Every element is thought out and painted to look as realistic as possible. Then, when it's all said and done, it's showtime. Thousands on thousands of people will pour into the doors every single year to experience the nightmare we have made. So know this, I am that guy that stands in the shadows, smiling, knowing that I have made a big part of these people's experience. So no matter where life takes me, I will always be out there, doing my part to make sure that the spirit of Halloween is alive and true.